Guess what? I had a baby. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. You don't know me, my name's Asia and this is Life with Slim. We do lifestyle, beauty, and we talk about motherhood. If you guys don't know, I'm a first-time mommy. And I just gave birth to my baby boy on October 28th. This video is going to be all about my labor and delivery because baby, I don't think y'all really know. Everyone has a different experience, you know, and this was my experience. Start out by talking about my birth plan. I don't know if you can hear him in the back, but he's taking a nap. He is so cute. He's the cutest baby. Motherhood has been amazing so far. I am truly grateful. I'm so happy to be on this journey. Postpartum is definitely a little, rocky. Right now, I'm 3 weeks postpartum. He's 3 weeks old. It's definitely different. I feel like every day I'm learning something new. Every day is a new milestone. I'm taking all the punches. I definitely do more videos on postpartum and stuff like that to start doing my daily vlogs with baby. If you aren't following my Instagram, I have been posting my little vlogs on there, so go check it out. The link will be in my bio. This video is just basically going to be my labor and delivery story. I also want to preface, this is my labor and delivery. Everyone's labor and delivery is different, but I'm just sharing my story because maybe when you go into labor, you're going to be able to experience the same things I experienced, or maybe some things, maybe nothing at all. But this is just to share my experience for people out there, not to scare you of pregnancy or scare you of labor. It's just to be realistic. These are realistic things that happen, and I feel like people aren't always so realistic about what is actually going to happen during labor. So people are kind of just going in very anxious. I was one of the main people who was extremely anxious. You watch all these videos of positive births. Not saying my birth was negative at all, but not every birth is positive. So to see different experiences, I think is very good for anyone who plans to get pregnant, who is pregnant currently, or who is about to go in labor in the next couple days. So I just want to give my experience, my realistic experience to what happened. And as a first-time mom too, I've never done this before. This is first for me. So anyone who's in that same boat, can watch my video and be like, oh, okay, well, I got her experience. We'll see what mine is. So I'm extremely grateful that everything in my birth plan was followed to the T. My OB was the best. She was actually the one who delivered the baby. So the way it works with my OB and the whole system, there's a whole bunch of different OBs that you can go to, and they follow at this one hospital where I delivered, but always guaranteed to get your OB when you're delivering, because you don't know, the date may change, you may come early, or your doctor just might not be working that day. So it so happened to be the day that I gave birth, my OB was at the hospital. She was on call, she was working, and it was just amazing. But baby, we made it up to that point. we're gonna chit chat. We're gonna talk about it. I want to first start out by talking about my birth plan. I highly encourage everyone to have a birth plan. Your labor may not go as planned, but it is nice to have a baseline on how you want things to look and something to just go off on, because you don't just want to go into labor just not knowing, okay, well, do you want medication? Do you want to be able to walk around? Do you want the baby to be in the room with you? Do you want your baby to get vaccinations? It's good to know what your preferences are. And then if things change, but at least you had a preference to begin with. We're going to go through my birth plan. I am Rh negative, so I had to get RhoGAM during my pregnancy, and then I had to get it again after I delivered because he ended up being positive blood. So I'm A negative and he's A positive. It's really cute. I think it's the cutest. Also, my hospital didn't allow me to video record, which sucked, but also I was going to set up my DG Osmo in the corner to record, but baby, when I get to the story, you're gonna say, oh, I understand why you didn't set the camera up. Okay, but I feel like my only regret, not even really regret, is just not really getting footage of my labor and delivery. That's The only thing that I kind of wish I was able to get. But I'm grateful with the photos and videos I did get along the way. I just didn't actually get the actual delivery on camera, but that's okay. And my hospital didn't allow recording, but baby, we was gonna do it anyways. My planned delivery was vaginal. I did not want a C-section, but of course, if I had to get a C-section, of course, that's what we're gonna do. But my preference for delivery was vaginal delivery. I wanted the room as quiet as possible. I wanted the lights dimmed, and I wanted as little interruptions as possible, because one thing about me, when I'm in pain, I become a real So I really just needed to be in my own head, in my own like bubble. Like, I did not want anyone to bother me. Don't talk to me, don't do nothing. Because you might get snapped back real quick. And I don't mean to snap back at you, but it's just in the moment, I can't do it right now. Just give me my space. Wanted to eat and drink, wanted clear liquids and ice chips. I wanted to be able to be mobile during my labor, like walk around, so have a mobile IV and intermittent monitoring. But the way it was happening, I had continuous monitoring, but I was able to walk around. Did not want a urinary catheter or an enema. Did not want to be induced. I did not want Pitocin. Didn't want any type of medical intervention that wasn't needed at the time. For pain relief, I wanted to work on breathing. That was my only pain relief, was breathing, because I wanted a unmedicated birth. I didn't want no epidural. That was my biggest goal. And the reason I did not want epidural is because my mom, when she had my younger brother, of course, I'm not saying this to scare anybody. This is not to scare anybody or say, oh, don't get pregnant, oh, don't have kids. I wish pregnancy and babies on everybody. It's just such a beautiful experience. I love my baby. Basically, I just wanted unmedicated, because when my mom had my younger brother, she ended up getting a C-section and needed an epidural. And ever since she had that epidural, she has been complaining of back pain. And it's one in whatever the odds are. But just seeing my mom talk about how her back hurts randomly, or just out of nowhere, or just seeing her in pain, I was like, yeah, I'm up down of that. I don't want that. But of course, if the pain was literally unbearable, then I would get the epidural. I'm not totally against it. I'm not oh no way. I wanted to go as long as I could without getting it. That's basically what it was. Unmedicated for as long as I can tolerate, because nothing is wrong with getting medication. If you really need it, you really need it. So don't try to man it out and try to oh, I don't want it at all. So don't suffer. Okay, that's the message. Don't suffer. I did not want it. I can't say this. It episiotomy. So when they cut between the perineum, I did not want that at all. I did want to deliver in a different position, but the position I delivered in was good for the time being, because baby, I was ready to push. Okay, I was not waiting for nobody. I was ready to push. So back, normal position, that's fine with me. I wanted delayed cord cutting. So the umbilical cord was going to be cut after it stopped pulsating, when it turned white, I believe. So we did do that. So my placenta, I also kept my placenta. So that's another thing on my birth plan. Of course, I said the C-section, to make sure, all the other options have to be exhausted before we do the C-section. That was a main thing for me. I also did not want them to use forceps or vacuum extraction. And I wanted to push as directed. So I wanted them to tell me when to push, how to push, because I didn't want to tear or hurt the baby or hurt myself. I wanted to breastfeed. I did not want any formula for my baby. I wanted to breastfeed only. And I did want skin to skin immediately after I delivered. I wanted all his medical stuff to be given while in the room with me. I did not want him taken out of the room to be given his shots or his hearing test. And all that was done in the room with me. Now, the controversial stuff, this is what I did for my baby. You don't have to do this, because we know when we get the vaccines and all that stuff, people get real wonky and, whatever your opinion or whatever your viewpoint is, that's cool, but this is what I did for my child. And if you can respect that, that will be great. So I did get the vitamin K for him, the antibiotic eye treatment, the Hep B vaccination, and then he also got the RSV vaccine as well, but not that same day. He did not get his first bath. That's like later on, but while we were in recovery, but I did not want him to get his first bath. I wanted to feed with only breast milk, and I wanted lactation to help me. I wanted the baby to stay in the room with me at all times. Like, I did not want him to leave the room. I did not want him in the nursery unless like an intervention needed to be done and he had to go to the nursery. But regardless, if that wasn't the case, I wanted the baby with me at all times. So that was basically my birth plan, and now we're going to get into my labor and delivery. I actually labored for a total of, so my contractions started at like 4 in the morning, and I gave birth to him at 7:03 p.m. So what is that? 12, 5, 6, 7, 15 hours. I was in labor for 15 hours, which is not bad at all. Like, when I used to hear that, like, oh, I was in labor for 18 hours, 20 hours, like, that's not bad at all. It seems like a long time, but it's really not. Like, I was in labor for 15 hours, but I didn't get to the hospital till, I didn't, like, get admitted till, like, 12. So I really was only in labor in the hospital for, 7 hours? So my contractions started at 4 in the morning on the 28th of October. And prior to this, I had a cervical exam done at 38 weeks. When I gave birth, I was 39 weeks and 5 days. 39 and 5 because he was due the 30th of October. So he came 2 days for his due date. So at my 38-week appointment, I got the cervical check. I was completely closed. I was like, dang, completely closed? Like, no progress? So then I had my 39-week. Also, it was very uncomfortable. Like, cervical check, that hurt me. That hurt. So I decided next week for my 39 to opt out. So I did not get a cervical check for my 39-week appointment. So the day prior to when the contraction started, I was doing a lot of cleaning. Baby, I was on my hands and knees mopping like Cinderella. Like, I was cleaning. And then that next morning, boop, contraction started. People are always like, oh, what do contractions feel like? What do contractions feel like? What do contractions feel like? I'll get to that in a second. But I was always wondering, like, oh my God, am I having contractions? Oh my God, am I having contractions? And people always say, oh, you'll know when you're having contractions. And I hate to be the person that says, oh yeah, you will, but you will know when you're having contractions. The main thing is they're consistent. Like, when you have your Braxton Hicks, not consistent, and they don't get intense over time. So those are the two main things you look for. Like, am I consistently getting contractions every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 2 minutes, whatever the case may be? If it's happening consistently for like it's like 45 seconds every 5 minutes, you're having contractions. So basically my contractions were like every 3 to 4 minutes for like 45 seconds. And I'm like, whoa there, buddy. Why are we contracting so close, so fast? Like, why is it only 3 minutes in between? I did not lose my mucus plug at this point. My water did not break, but I was having contractions. So the initial contractions, it just feels like crampiness, I guess you can say. Like, I would compare it to menstrual pain, like menstrual cramps. Because when it first starts, it's not really like unbearable. It's just annoying but tolerable. I think it's more so how frequently they're coming that makes it like uncomfortable. If they weren't coming so frequent, you would be able to like sleep and like get some rest. But because they're coming so frequent and they're like a little intense, it makes it a little uncomfortable to sleep and just find comfort in laying down or whatever it is you're doing. So those initial contractions, they were uncomfortable, but not like super painful. 1 to 10, I would say like a 3. So as the day progressed, I told my mom, and I also told my doctor during my birth plan that I wanted to labor at home as long as possible. Like, that was my goal. I wanted to labor at home as long as possible. because I wanted to be able to eat and stuff like that, which I did not eat. I wanted to be able to eat and just relax and just be at home and not just confined to hospital bed. So I wanted to labor at home for as long as possible, and she was fine with that. She was like, as long as like you can tolerate, like if you want pain management, then you can come in. But if not, then you can labor at home as long as possible. Oh, I also called the hospital on the phone and let them know that I was contracting. That's what she told me. So, and then she also said, you're just kind of waiting for your water to break at this point. She was like, I know you want to labor at home as long as possible. So you're waiting for your water to break. If the water's clear, that's good. But if it's a little like green or anything like that, then you should come in, because that means the baby had his first poop while in the womb. Let me see how long he's been napping for. No, I don't think even like 2 hours yet. Oh, he hasn't even been napping for that long, so we're good. So then what happened? So then I said, okay, bet. So I got on the phone with them and I let my mom know, and she was on her way to come get me, because we were going to go to Target to get a cooler for the placenta and just some last minute things from, like, I needed some shower shoes. So we ended up going to Target. Let me tell you guys, my experience sitting down made my contractions 50 times worse. Like, sitting down in the bed, sitting down in the car, just sitting down anywhere, sitting down on the little labor balls made my contractions 10 times worse. So we're on our way to Target, and like, I am so uncomfortable at this point. Like, my contractions are close and they're longer, and we're hitting like so many bumps in the road, and oh my god, it was so uncomfortable. I had to tell her at one point, like, Mom, you just gotta stop, because I cannot. The contractions were just crazy. So this is where contractions start changing. They do not feel like period cramps. I don't know whoever ever compared labor contractions to period cramps needs to come see me. Please don't be fooled. Please, because I have really bad menstrual cramps, like really bad. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'm expecting like my worst menstrual cramps times like 5 or whatever. Like, I'm like expecting the worst, but I'm like, I have really bad menstrual cramps. My stomach be hurting. I'm lactose intolerant. Like, I know what stomach pain feels like. Y'all, like, no. This is a pain you have like never felt before. Like, the best way I can describe contractions, it feels like someone's on your inside, literally twisting your uterus. Like, it's just unbearable pain. Like someone's inside of you stabbing you, or like, it does not feel like period cramps. My period cramps do not make me like scream, like yell. They do not do that to me. So yeah. Anyways, whoever said that, or whoever said it feels like really bad food poisoning, no, it does not. Like, you don't have an achy stomach. Like, it does not feel like that. The only thing I would say feels like menstrual cramps is when you're breastfeeding and your uterus is contracting back to its size because you're breastfeeding. Now, that contraction of your uterus, that feels like menstrual cramps, intense menstrual cramps. But back to my story. So my mom ended up going into Target, and I could not. So I was just outside walking around the car, like going through it. Like, I was going through it. Them contractions were coming. They were intense. And we decided, like, okay, we're just going to go to the hospital to see if, like, I'm at least dilating. Because, like, you can have contractions and not be dilating. So I wasn't going to stay or get admitted, because at this point I only ate an apple. The whole day. So at this point I was like, we're not going to get admitted. Like, I just want to see if I'm dilating. Let's see how far, like, I'm dilating. Like, it'll give me a little, like, reassurance that these contractions aren't for no reason. So we end up going to the hospital, get checked. Oh my God. Like I told you, the cervical checks are so painful for me. Maybe they're not painful for everyone else, but they're so painful for me. Oh my gosh. So, they come in, they end up checking me, then they do an ultrasound to check the baby's position. But she checked me and she was like, oh, I think you're 1 to 2 centimeters. Then she was like, but I didn't really get a good feel, so I'm going to check again. So she checks again and she's like, oh, you're 3 to 4 centimeters. So at this point, I told you I started contracting at like 4 in the morning. It's like 11:20, 11:30 at this point. So I have the actual timestamps in my phone because I was recording. So let me tell you like the exact time. It's like 11:20 at this point. So I am 3 to 4 centimeters dilated, and she asked me if I wanted to stay. So the thing with staying, she was like, if you stay, we're going to check you again in 2 hours. If you're not progressing, we're going to have to do an intervention, because while you're admitted, we have to manage you, is what she was saying. So she was saying that if I stayed, that A, I either had to get Pitocin, or B, I either had to get an epidural. Which, if you remember my birth plan, I did not want either of those. So I was going to go back home and labor at home. Because I was like, I don't want a Pitocin or an epidural. And that was if they checked me and I wasn't progressing. So she leaves the room. Like I told her, I want to go back home. Like I don't want to stay. So she leaves the room to go get discharge papers prepared. Because I was in triage. I wasn't like on the floor or anything. Then my mom was like, are you sure? Da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah, because I do not want Pitocin. Because I heard Pitocin makes your contractions 10 times worse. And the way my contractions were feeling, at that moment, I could not imagine them feeling worse with Pitocin. And I did not want to be induced. So at that point, she left. And when she left, I'm telling you, I got the craziest contraction. And I was like, dang, I'm 3 to 4 centimeters right now. And that contraction, like, took my breath away. Like, and I'm going to go back home. I was like, I might not make it to the hospital if I go back home. Like, if that contraction felt that way at 3 to 4 centimeters, like, what is it going to feel like at 8 centimeters? So I ended up staying, which was like good, but also bad because I haven't eaten. So my mom went to go to Panera to get me some soup, and a nurse came in and was like, did they say you can eat? Like, lady, I'm not even admitted or on the floor yet. So like, let me get my last supper, because 15 hours I said, I was going off of an apple and soup and no sleep. Word of advice, eat before you go to the hospital and sleep if you can. Like, it's so important. You're going to need your energy. I know everyone says that, but you literally are going to need your energy. Get admitted, I go onto the floor. I'm just laboring. They put the IV in my hand, which, oh my God, y'all, I hate the IV in your hand. It just gets so messed up. It gets so nasty looking. Like, I just hate it. I was on monitoring the baby. It's so crazy because you can see when you're literally about to get a contraction, because the number just rises like to 100 and something and falls. So it's like I could see when my contraction is about to come, and then I could see when it's about to end. Like, it's wicked. And like I would literally like prep myself when I see that number going up, because those contractions, man, like. So I'm laboring. The only comfortable position is standing. Like, standing makes the contractions less painful, not even less painful, just more manageable. Like, I was still in so much pain, but standing made it like, okay, it's like a 50 sitting, it's like a 40 standing. Like, y'all, I'm still holding strong, like no medication, So I could have gotten IV pain medication, which I was going to get, but once you hit 5, 6 centimeters, they don't allow that anymore, because I think it can interact with the baby at that point. So the only intervention is an epidural at 5 centimeters. I'm like still not talking, like I'm still in pain, like every time a contraction comes, I'm working on my breathing. Nothing's working, okay? Gritting my teeth at every contraction, because it's just, I'm trying to breathe and the breathe is not working. And then my mom was in the room, and like I told y'all earlier, when like I'm in pain, I just need quiet, silence, nobody talk to me. I don't want to hear no noise. My mom just knew not to speak to me, like, because I could not. And it's not even like I was trying not to be mean, but it's just, when you're in that zone or when you're in pain, you're just kind of bitchy, you know? I definitely apologize to my mom because she would be like, okay, like, do you want the, like, mom, stop. Please stop. Everything, I apologize. But she was like, I know how you felt. Like, it's okay. So, but y'all, so 2 hours passed. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I told them I was going to stay, I was like, okay, so what if 2 hours pass and I am dilating? So then they wouldn't have to do the Pitocin or the epidural, which was good. So I was like, just praying that, like, okay, when she comes to check me again, my doctor comes to check me again, I am dilating. So she ended up checking me 2 hours later. So it was like 2-ish, 3 at this point. And I was at 5 centimeters. I was like, oh my God, thank God. I was at 5 centimeters. And then she told me, at this point, my water still hasn't broken. She told me she was going to check me again in 2 hours. And then if my water hasn't broken at that point, they're going to break my water for me. Contractions still intense, y'all. Like, at this point, I'm like this close to getting that epidural. Like, it didn't sound that bad at 5 centimeters. The epidural did not sound that bad at 5 centimeters at all. But my mom had to keep saying, no, you could do it. Like, y'all, that epidural did not sound that bad at all. It's going to take this pain away. But I was still holding on. Like, just in so much pain. I just had to stand. I was so tired. I was so hungry. Had no energy. Like, I just could not. Another 2 hours passed. She comes back. I'm 8 centimeters. Like, I was progressing really well. Like, and you don't really feel your dilation, but your contractions get more intense. So I was like, yo, my contractions are getting very intense. I need to be more dilated at this point. And I was at 8, y'all. So I'm at 8 and she pops my water. Then she notices that it's like greenish. So he did have his first poop in the womb. So when he came out, they had to like look at him and just suction stuff out his mouth just in case he didn't ingest the poop. After my water broke, the contractions were already... After she broke my water, yo, I don't know how I made it through, because those contractions, the nurse was like, you're gonna, like, because it's like contractions and now it's pressure because that water bag is gone. So baby's head is literally on your cervix. So you're having pressure along with these painful contractions that do not feel like period cramps, or worse than period cramps. It feels like someone's in your uterus stabbing you, literally stabbing you. It's just so painful. That was my birth control. Like, that is my birth control. For my water, it was just pain. Just pushing through till we got to 10 centimeters at that point. I'm yelling, groaning, like every contraction, like, oh, like I need, like and the nurse was like, when you start feeling like you have to poop, let me know. Like, when the first initial feeling comes, let me know. So that first initial feeling came with the contraction, and I was like, I feel like I have to poop. Y'all, after you feel it that first time, every time after that, you feel like you have to push. I felt it the first time. It was uncomfortable. I was still in pain, but it was like, okay, I feel like I gotta poop. Once I had that feeling again, it felt like I was ready to push. I was ready to push. I don't care what nobody told me. I'm pushing. Urge to push is so strong, and I want to push so bad. Like, it hurts. Like, it hurts. It's pressure. You have contractions, and it just feels so heavy. It feels like something is just sitting there. They felt like so much pressure. I was about to be ripped in half if I didn't push this thing out of me. That's what it felt like. I was about to be ripped in half if I didn't push this thing out of me. So the doctor comes in, like, I'm yelling for the doctor, like, oh my God, I need the doctor to come. Where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? She comes and she checks me. She says, you're at 9 centimeters. Give me that epidural right now. Hand me that epidural right now. 9 centimeters? I didn't get the epidural though. I was at 9 centimeters and she was like, okay, we're going to start pushing. If you want, I can assist you. So she was putting her fingers in my cervix to help stretch it, to help baby's head come through. Y'all, when I tell you, so it's different phases. You have the contractions, you have the pushing, then you have the ring of fire. Now we're on the pushing. Y'all, pushing hurts. Pushing is painful. When you get the epidural, you don't feel it. You just feel pressure. When you're unmedicated, nothing. Bare. Y'all, it hurts. Push like you're pooping. When you cough, like the feeling, it's like you're just using your abs. Like you're pushing with your abs. I was pushing wrong. The first push I did, I was like, I cannot do this. She was okay, we're going to start pushing now. And she told me how to do it. Yada, yada, yada. And I pushed and I told her, I said, I cannot do this. I said, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. She was like, okay, well, you still are able to get the epidural. But she was like, I know what your wishes are. And I love her for this. She was like, you went this far unmedicated and you can finish up unmedicated. She was like, but if you want the epidural, we can do it. But she was like, but you came this far and I know you wanted an unmedicated birth, so let's do this. And I was like, you know what, girl, you're right. As much as I want the epidural, as much as it hurts right now, I'm gonna push through because I ain't know. Made me do 3 pushes. So she was like, breathe in, hold your breath, and push. Like, you don't want to make no noise. You don't want to yell because that does not help. You just literally have to bear down and push like you're pooping. I peed on her. Like, it was a lot going on. One thing they always tell you, oh my God, you're doing so good. He's almost here. We see him. He has so much hair. I'm almost there. So why am I still pushing? Like, I'm not almost there. Y'all been saying I'm almost there for the longest time. Y'all been saying this is such a good push for the longest time. People post, oh, I got him out in 3 pushes. How did y'all get him out in 3 pushes? It took me at least 20 pushes to get him out. It only took me, I think, 15 minutes. Pushing hurts. Pushing definitely hurts. He was telling me about the point where he crowned, the Ring of Fire. Nothing prepares you for the Ring of Fire. Nothing. So when I was pushing, I felt his head and I was like, okay, this must be the Ring of Fire because it's like a lot of pressure. It's a little painful. Boy, was I in for a rude awakening. She was like, when we get to that point, I'm going to tell you to stop because I want to make sure everything's okay. Like, you're not hurting yourself or you're not hurting the baby. Y'all, when we got to the point where he started crowning, the best way I can describe the Ring of Fire to y'all is if someone took a literal flame to your coochie and just sat there with a flame. It burns. It hurts. It's so painful. If I had to rank everything in order from contractions, pushing, Ring of Fire, contractions, pushing, that Ring of Fire, even though it's a couple seconds, it's the most painful couple seconds you will ever experience. What's worse is that she made me stop at that point of the burning of. She just made me stop so that she can ensure everything was okay. But y'all, looking back is making my skin crawl because that pain was so painful. I was screaming. Yeah, I was pushing 3 times. Like, I would push, take like a 2-second break, breathe in, push, 2-second break, push again. To get his head out, getting the rest of the body out is so easy. It just kind of like slips out. Like, you feel it, but it doesn't hurt. Like, the head is what hurts. The neck, all that other stuff, it doesn't hurt. You're still pushing, but he just comes out. My umbilical cord was short, so he only landed right on my stomach. He couldn't fully come up. It's a delayed cord cutting, and we did a little skin to skin, but then he had to go get suction because he did ingest some of his meconium, his poop. And then boy, was I in for a surprise. So we delivered the placenta. No one ever talks about this, but delivering a placenta doesn't hurt. I don't even remember if I pushed, but it just comes out and it doesn't hurt. Like, after pushing out that big head, everything else is cake. Listen, not everything else is cake. Everything else coming out your body is cake. After that little placenta got delivered, she tells me that I tore. Oh my God. Y'all, she said you tore. So it was the left side, like the left lip. And then the weirdest, oddest place I didn't even think was possible to tear. She was like, yeah, and also your clitoris. I said, huh? ¿Por qué? ¿Qué? No hablo inglés. ¿Cómo se dice tear my clitoris? How does that happen? All the way up there? How did that happen, ma'am? After pushing, you're just like shaking, like you're just very sensitive down there. She had to sew me up. She injected me with some lidocaine, but baby, it wasn't much so that it was painful. It was uncomfortable and like pressure, because you're also just you just pushed out that baby. You also just went through the ring of fire. You also just had these crazy contractions. Now you're getting sewn down there in the most sensitive area. Yeah, so it's a little uncomfortable. Not a little, a lot uncomfortable. So me getting sewn up, the nurse was asking me if I wanted the baby back, but I could not take him at the moment because I was just moving so much. I was shaking. Like when she was sewing me, I was like, you just have to wait until she's done. When she's done, I'll take him. And I was upset about that because I really wanted to take him in that moment, but I could not. Like I wouldn't have been able to focus on him because I was so focused on her sewing and just it being so sensitive down there. And she sewed, the clit, Lord. I did tear. And those postpartum goodies came in clutch. I have everything I packed in my hospital bag linked on my Like to Know It, which will be in my bio. Rita, mom, all those postpartum essentials are needed. The hospital definitely gives you some, but maybe you're going to need them briefs. You're going to need that perineal foam. You're going to need that you're going to need all of it. All linked on my Like to Know It. Like everything I used, I still use to this day. Like the craziest experience, but I felt so empowered being able to do it unmedicated, no epidural. Like I felt so empowered, but I was in so much pain. I'll do a whole nother video on my postpartum recovery and everything like that, because of course I'm still recovering, but y'all, that I was just like, and then after you give birth, your stomach is not completely flat, but it's not the big bump anymore. But it feels so weird. Like it feels so empty. Like you stand up and it still low-key feels heavy, but it's empty. Like that was just such a weird feeling for me. And I still kind of feel that way. Like when I touch my belly, I'm like, oh my God, this is so weird. And I just recently started laying on my stomach again. But the feeling of your stomach, I feel like no one really talks about. It's just empty, but heavy. Like you stand up and you're still like holding your stomach. That was my story. I gave birth to a very handsome baby boy. I'm so blessed. His name is Cairo. He is so perfect. I love him. I love motherhood. It definitely has its days. He's sleeping right now. He has to wake up in like an hour and a half to feed, but I love it. Definitely tiring, definitely tired, but it's so rewarding. Just seeing the baby you carried for 9 months, it's definitely so rewarding and just beautiful. And I wish this on every woman. That was my labor and delivery story. What part really resonated with you? Or if you gave birth, did you feel like there was similarities between our stories? Or if you are a future mommy going to give birth, what is something that you're like concerned about or like you're anxious about? Because trust, I was so anxious to give birth. Like I did not know what to expect, what it was going to feel like. And now that I went through it, I'm like, wow. One, I feel very empowered because like I said, I went unmedicated, no epidural, but no, nothing against anyone who gets an epidural. Like you got to do what you got to do. You want to see your baby, do what you got to do to get as close to your baby as you need to. So no shame, no hate to nobody who gets an epidural. It just wasn't what I wanted. But of course, if I had to get it, I would have gotten it. But just, y'all, I don't know how people do these hypnobirthing. They're just so calm during their labor. Like, all power to y'all. I was going through it. We did it. But I was going through it. That's basically it. I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you guys stay tuned for the future videos because I will be posting content consistently now because I'm kind of in the flow of things, and plus I have this little mini camera, so it's easier for me to travel with it and record and just post it up and record. So Yeah, some vlogs are coming soon. I'm going to do my newborn baby essentials, because I can definitely give a list on some essentials that you need and don't need for baby that are not for me to get money. Like, I truly stand by these products and I've been using these products since he was born. First time mom, it's definitely tricky, definitely challenging. Like, it's conquering territory that's unfamiliar. So being able to help other first time moms, I feel like, is amazing, because you know, it's nice to have someone whose journey looks the same as yours or may look similar to yours. And I'm excited for that. And I'm just excited for what comes and just to document these moments and share them with you guys. I'm so excited. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you turn your post notifications on so you don't miss out on a post. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye, Bookies.